Hey everyone, it's Shane Elliott here. Just want to welcome you to this session and just really to introduce Phillip. Phillip's a programmer at Pukunui, Moodle Partners, and has done a fair bit of work with plugins in Moodle since he's been working there. And so I just want to welcome Phillip and thank him for his time. It's quite late in Perth, so I appreciate the time Phillip's giving up to present today. So I'll hand over to you, Phillip. Thanks.
Thank you, Shane. As Shane said, my name is Phillip Bennett, and I'm currently working for Pukunui in the Perth office. I've been working with Moodle development since late last year, and enjoyed it heaps since I started, and look forward to more of it. So I'm sure you've all been to a few sessions so far, so it will be the same in regards to, in the middle of the screen, you'll see my slides. I'll be flicking through those as we go through. If I go too fast, if you'd like to stay on a slide a bit longer, please don't hesitate to say so. Also, feel free to ask any questions either in the chat or speaking at any point. My presentation today is on plugin management, along with the installation process and what common problems can occur. First of all, the images you will see today are from my Moodle 2.4 site. However, I will explain the actions and steps for other versions of Moodle, so you can complete the tasks on those sites. Today we'll be going over what exactly is a plugin, what it can offer to your site. Also, I will be basing the presentation on the idea that some of you will be very new to plugins and Moodle. So for the others, please stay with me while I go over some basic important steps. Following this, I'll discuss important questions when thinking about plugins, which ones to choose for your site. Moving on to installation, common problems, overcoming those issues. These include upgrading plugins as well as upgrading your Moodle site with existing plugins installed. And lastly, uninstalling a plugin if you need to. So first of all, what is a plugin? A plugin, or sometimes called an add-on, is an extra bit of functionality and code made to integrate with your core Moodle code. If we think back to a popular video where Moodle was compared to a set of Lego, there was a little yellow block, and that represents the plugin written by the community to fill a need. For your site, this means it is able to do something else or display something new. This adds a whole new dimension to your site and improves the experience of users. Some of the most popular ones I've come across so far have been the certificate one, drag and drop, and collapsible topics, plus many more. It is important to mention that some add-ons are not reviewed or code reviewed. The functionality is reviewed. So move on with caution and understand the risks as well as the benefits, which I'll explain a bit later on. So moving on what exactly is a plugin. A plugin can come as standard or an add-on. Standard comes as part of your Moodle package, whereas an add-on can be downloaded as extra functionality. So they're both add-ons and plugins both represent the same thing. One is written and supported by Moodle, and the others are written by members of the Moodle user community. From the screen, image on the screen, sorry about how clear it is. This is a representation of the plugin Moodle plugin overview page. So I'll talk about this a bit later on, but from here you can see down the source column, standard or add-on, that represents the plugin type. So if you've decided to move on with a plugin or an add-on for your site, you need to ask yourself some questions as well as ask about the plugin. More functionality on your site means more support and possible issues at upgrade time. Is the plugin supported? What happens if there is a bug? Is there someone who can help? A lot of the time the main developer of the plugin is available. for a bit of support, but that cannot always be the case. If it has an issue, will you have to close your site down until it's fixed, or delete the plugin and move on? These are all very important questions when moving on with plugins. Plugin information. Sorry, that bit of an overlap there with the image. So a plugin can be downloaded from the Moodle plugins directory. This is an area on the main Moodle site. The link is up on screen. Unfortunately, sorry, that image has gone over the top. Yeah, I can't even highlight it. So from the Moodle plugin page, you will be able to see the version number. Good idea, Shane. So I'm just typing the link into the chat for everyone to see. Just simply moodle.org/plugins. So on that page, you'll see a list of all the plugins. You can also search for plugins. They're grouped by blocks, etc., reports. As I said earlier, they'll have the version number, a summary of what that plugin does, as well as the requirements such as the Moodle site it supports. Some plugins do require other ones to be installed as well. For example, the Engagement Analytics plugin requires you to download a block and report version in order for it to work. This will all be mentioned in the summary and instructions, however, so you should have no issue. So once you've chosen a plugin that you think will be great for your site, at this point we need to check if your institution will allow you to install a plugin. Some of you may be hosting your own instance of Moodle, others may use a hosting service, so you'll need to check all of these before moving on. So check you're allowed to install a plugin, find the one you'd like. So the first thing you need to do is to install it onto your Moodle site. Note that to do the install you will need to be logged in as your site administration account. Some people have test sites or copy sites, which is very beneficial and I do recommend it. Great for exercises like this. It enables you to see what a plugin will look like as well as ensure it works correctly as expected. Let's mention a bit of practice installing it before it goes into production. The safest way to limit issues in the future is to install it correctly the first time. So first thing you need to do is to download the latest version of the plugin from the plugin directory. From the image on screen, this is an example of the certificate plugin. On this page it shows who developed it, description, download versions. So here we can see the version number, and it works with Moodle 2.0 all the way up to 2.4. So once you've downloaded the most recent stable version, the next step is to unzip the file. First of all, I recommend to do this in an empty folder so you can see how the folders inside are laid out, and if there is a file called README. If there is a README file, this will have some instructions on the installation which should guide you forward. This will also show if the plugin needs to be placed in multiple folders within Moodle, as some do. Some of the most common locations are the course folder. In there's formats for course format plugins, or the blocks folder for blocks, mod for modules, etc. Don't worry too much about location because it should be mentioned in the documentation of the plugin. So once again, make sure you read all of those. So now we know where the plugin needs to be placed. We need to unzip it. It will be downloaded in a compressed format, so unzipping it just opens it all back up for use. This is very important, and it does happen with people not unzipping the file and expecting Moodle to pick it up. Unfortunately, it won't, and you will need to unzip it. There are many programs you can find online to do this, such as 7-zip or WinZip, just a few examples. I tend to unzip them on my local hard drive and then have a look at exactly what unzipped, and then upload the directory to your Moodle site. Again, for this you'll need permissions. If you're not sure how to do this, talk to IT department or the person in charge of the site. A lot of people FTP, or you may have access to your cPanel account. So now you'll have your new plugin unzipped in the correct location. The first thing you'd do would go to the settings block on your site, site administration, and notifications. The plugin should appear on this page. So I'll just change site. So this is an example from the notifications page. From here you'll see I've had a report. It's an add-on, and down the bottom of the page we'll have Upgrade Moodle Database Now, and you just click on that button. Common problems will tend to appear from now on, so you need to keep your eyes open. These can be the plugin not appearing in the notifications list, or file permission errors. Usually you'll be given an error message to help you understand what went wrong. The image on this screen is actually from a Moodle forum post. The issue with this was folder permissions. So the user, from the circled area you can see module name. That's a language string issue. It's because the folder that she installed onto her Moodle site didn't have the correct permissions. So this one can be a bit complicated to explain. It does depend on what system you're using, etc. But if you're using cPanel or similar to access your files, you can usually just right-click on the folder, go to Properties, where you can change the necessary permissions. If not, if that doesn't fix the problem, we can investigate further. So, investigating the fault. My usual first step every time I upload anything to the site is to clear the cache. This is an easy step, and I find it usually clears any minor issues out. Simply navigate to the settings block on your site, click on Site Administration, Development, and then Purge All Caches, and then continue when you're on that page. If your plugin does not appear in the notifications list, usually the first question I would ask here is if you definitely unzipped the file in the folder, or if it's even in the right place. Once again, you may need to check the file permissions of the folders within your add-on folder. As explained before, it can restrict access to certain folders by Moodle. Another one is also, did you change the folder names? This is important as they would have been labeled according to Moodle guidelines, and Moodle will need those files to be that way to be located. If you're still having no luck, then you should turn on debugging. This will give you a more detailed message on the screen of what is not working. And to do this, you'll need to go to the settings block, site administration, development, debugging. On that page, you'll see a drop-down box as shown on screen. You can change this to all, or there's another option called developer, which shows even more errors. Just let me know if I'm going too fast, or if you'd like me to clarify any steps. Yeah, feel free to unmute your microphone and ask any questions at any point. So moving on. Also remember the Moodle forums if you're having any issues. If there's an error you don't understand, or for any reason, you can search the Moodle forums for a solution on that error, or to start a new post outlining all relevant information. This is important in determining exactly what the issue is. You should mention your system, PHP version, what the plugin you are trying to install is. Screenshots don't hurt either, they can be very handy, and the version number, etc. On screen is an example of a post someone made about their issue. I would recommend saying a lot more than they have. They've just asked a simple question. It's a lot harder to understand the issue when that's all they provide, so you will need the version number, etc., etc., and the exact steps you were undertaking. So I do recommend keeping a version of the plugin up to date as much as possible. This helps to limit any risks of issues or complications with Moodle, and to also help others when they're investigating your issue. So upgrading your plugin. So say you have a plugin all installed and then sometime in the future the new version comes out and you'd like to upgrade it. You can also check for updates as you wish from the plugin overview page simply by clicking on the Check for Updates button at the top. So first of all, you need to get the new version of your plugin. From Moodle 2.4 onwards, in the plugin overview page, it will display if there's a new version available. This is shown on screen at the moment. This little blue box here says there is a new version available, and from here you can download directly. For other versions of Moodle, you will have to go back to the plugins directory and download straight from there. Also, this blue box is a setting labeled Available Update Notifications. This is in the site administration under Server. That will display whether you get automatic notifications there or not. Upgrading Moodle with your plugins. So you've updated a plugin. Now, what about updating your Moodle site with existing plugins? You will need to follow some of the same steps as previously mentioned. Once again, I recommend you have a test site made to replicate the effect of the upgrade on your site. As some of you will have hosting providers who will do the test site creation and upgrade for you, but it'll most likely be up to you to test to make sure the plugins still work as they should. With your test site, you can see if your plugins may have issues with the new Moodle version before you put them into production. It's important to go over every step you usually do with this plugin and make sure it all works as it should, rather than just looking to make sure it appears on the page. So you need to check all videos and links thoroughly. You do have some stories of people agreeing that test site works perfectly, but once the main site is upgraded, they mention that an aspect or something does not work anymore. So testing is very important. So if you go back to the Moodle plugin directory online, you should be able to see what versions of Moodle your plugin will work with. So I hope you can view that text on screen. If not, try full screen mode and that should blow it all up so you can see it. But from there it lists the versions of Moodle that the plugin works with. Unfortunately, it could happen that you upgrade your Moodle site and the plugin will not work. If this happens, you'll need to decide if you keep the plugin on your site in that buggy state until it is fixed, or if you delete it from your site until a stable version is available. So I've spoken about the plugin overview page a bit as well. So I thought I'd go over that for you. This is an example on screen. So to get to the plugin overview page, just settings block, site administrations, plugins, plugin overview. From here you can see the plugin name column where it's got the name and then the source, whether it's standard or an add-on as a plugin, the version number, and then the availability column. This availability column is, as it says, whether it's available to the users or not, so enabled or disabled. From this page, you cannot just click on it and change it from there. You will need to go back to the plugins directory, and in there you can change it. Yeah, also, sorry, the notes column, it's hard to see, but it says required by another Moodle aspect. So although you can still uninstall the plugin from here, it is not recommended because it is required elsewhere. And the settings column just redirects you to the settings for that plugin. However, the default settings are usually all you need to function. Also for uninstalling the block, say you had the drag and drop plugin, which on your 2.2 site is an add-on plugin. However, since if you're going up to Moodle 2.3, this plugin is now standard Moodle issue and clashes with the old version. So if you'd like to remove this plugin or remove any other plugin for some reason, you can just simply click that uninstall button. Although that only removes it from being available on your site, you still need to remove the folders from your server. So moving on, we should complete the task of installing an add-on for ourselves. So I'll just get share my desktop going. It'll just take a second to appear. Sorry, hope it'll be up soon. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the sharing button to appear. Does anyone have any questions so far? So reviewing a plugin, before it is available, it does get reviewed for functionality. There was a guy in our last session, Anthony Burrow, who does look at it, and he looks at the functionality, whether it works on the site. He did mention that code review is, in a way, up to the developer. A lot of developers will do their own code review before it does get published. In doing that, you look at security issues, whether SQL injections, whether people who are using the plugin, say if I had a text field, could put in database queries. So that is a security issue, and it's up to the developer to make sure that any data going through the plugin does get sanitized and does not affect the database. Sorry, this desktop sharing does not want to work tonight. So, yeah. So I was going to go for an example of downloading a block and the placement. I've got a block, so I was going to chuck that in my Moodle folder into the blocks folder, and then it's a compressed version. So I was going to install an appointments plugin. So I was going to demonstrate unzipping of the file, going back to the main site, going to the notifications page, and upgrading the database as the first step, and then purging the cache. And then showing an example of debugging and actually using the plugin on the site as well as going through the uninstallment process. So hopefully it will choose to appear soon. Probably one of my favorite plugins would be the certificate one. I've had a bit to do with customizing that, and just from using it I've learned a lot about plugin development and the things you can do and the advantages that it does have for a site. So I do recommend everyone check out the certificate as well as just other plugins on other sites. Just have a play around, see what's out there, and see what you can use for your own site. So I might just try refreshing the screen to get the desktop sharing going. Okay, sorry, I just refreshed the screen and we'll give it another go. Does anyone else have any other plugins they recommend or think that everyone else should have a look at? Configurable reports? Yep. Nice. Yeah, there's some very good examples. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying another browser. Yeah, so I'll just open up a new session. Be back in 1 second. Okay, fingers crossed this will work now. I apologize, it doesn't seem to be opening up at the moment. So once again, I do recommend having a test site every time you're either installing new plugins or upgrading a plugin or your main Moodle site. Test site just very, very beneficial. Enables you to look at how everything will interact with the new upgrade. Save a lot of problems. You don't want those issues happening while the user is using the site. So you need to check to make sure everything's okay before you upgrade your production site. Going back over the issues to look for, whether or not you change the file names, they do need to stay the same in order for the code and Moodle to find those files. Look at file permissions. Purging the cache usually helps to sort out any minor issues. If you do have any language issues, I'll actually just show an example of this on the slides. So going back to this issue, although this was a file permission error, but however you can see from the square brackets around module name that Moodle is trying to find the language string associated with the module name tag. So that those square brackets would be what I would look at first as the language, if it was a language issue. If Moodle is having trouble trying to find the language string and you can't figure it out, I'd recommend re-downloading the plugin. It might have just downloaded incorrectly, or either getting in touch with the developer. There's another example down the bottom here with those square brackets. Ramesh, yeah, I'm sorry, that's happened for me as well. I don't know what it is, it was correct before. I will upload these though so everyone can have a look. Actually, that is right, Shane, I've uploaded PowerPoint instead of PDF. But yes, I will upload them for everyone to grab afterwards. Yeah. Yeah, so that's those square brackets are generally a key indicator that it's a language issue. So purging the cache or checking the permissions, they're usually the #1 cause. It will also, if you've got debugging on, it will usually tell you that it cannot find the string for that the tag which will appear in between those brackets. Yes, that's right, Justin. Yeah. Sergio, unfortunately I haven't had a chance to look at 2.5. I've been meaning to, because I'm sure this week I'll get a lot of questions about it. Yeah, it is something I need to look at, because no doubt the questions are going to start flowing soon with issues. I would imagine that if you go through the same issue detection that I was talking about before, you will be able to find out what may be causing an issue. Yeah, Justin, unfortunately that is true. Hopefully in the summary on the Moodle plugin directory page, it will say, please read the README first, and hopefully people do that. Yeah. Or hopefully people get their IT department or someone else to install it for them. So maybe send them a link so we can watch the replay of this. That might help them. I'd say very slim, as the functionality is tested quite a bit before it goes up on the Moodle page. Once again, it is up to, or it highlights the importance of a test site. Yeah, but I would imagine it would be pretty extreme if it made your site unusable. Yeah. Stefan, I wouldn't recommend it. If the plugin, like from the example on screen, it says requirements 2.0, etc. You could give it a try. It may work, but I wouldn't recommend it. And also, you wouldn't have any support from the developer if anything did go wrong, as it does state that it probably only goes up to 2.4. Yeah, there's just no guarantee unless it's stated. Stefan, yeah, it can be a problem, but if you would like that functionality on your site, then I guess it's up to you whether or not it's worth it, because they do create a lot of benefits for your site, and if you'd like that to be on your site, then unfortunately that's what you have to do every time you upgrade. But yeah, in most cases it's definitely worth the wait. And all you can really do is limit the amount of time it affects the users, like depending on the time you upgrade your site, outside of peak times, etc. Mary, with themes, once again it all goes under the same kind of process, installing the theme in the correct folder, making sure you unzip it, and then notifications page. Yeah, going back a few slides, it's all labeled there, and with themes I do find purging the cache, you go through that a lot. So yeah, but it's generally the same process, just make sure that everything is labeled exactly the same, etc. Yeah, that's right, Sergio. And if it is a big problem where it makes your site unusable, then I'd say the developer will get onto it pretty quickly. Okay, Mary, sorry. Yeah, I haven't spoken about 2.5. This week I'm going to be learning a lot about it. Yeah, so I don't have an answer for that right now.
Hey everyone, it's Shane here. Just I'll jump in at this point and just thank Phillip for his time and for sharing that with us. Pity the screen sharing didn't work, but that's okay. I think you gave us all the info anyway. So thank you once again. And sure, if there's any more questions, keep going. I don't want to kill any conversations or anything. Just say thank you.
Thanks, Shane, and thank you to everyone for listening in today. Hope you all found it very beneficial, and I will put the slides up afterwards so you can all have a proper view at them. So thank you for listening.